Hello everybody and welcome to Spindle TV. My name is Laney and tonight we are going to work on an actual project of making a nice decorative chessboard, and we're going to work with some chess pieces to make a chess set. We'll be importing a model for the chess pieces, and that model will be cut as a two-sided project. We're going to be working with multiple different sizes of material, so we'll be working with the new Sheets feature in version 11 of the Vectric software. And we're going to be working with some imported vectors and things as well. So hopefully it's an interesting project for you. We're going to be working with some vectors, cleaning them up as well, and really kind of go through some node editing and all. So you're going to get a little bit of something out of this. We're going to be working in VCarve Pro. Everything that I'm doing today can be easily done in Vectric VCarve Desktop, VCarve Pro, or Vectric Aspire. So hopefully you get something out of it in one fashion or another. That's kind of the goal of these classes. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for jumping in and joining me. I know I put the link up late today. Didn't have it up. To be honest with you, I've been, sitting and teaching and stuff, and not being as active as I should be, and I'm getting a little thick around the waist. So this past week I joined a gym, and it's kicking my butt, guys and girls. Get up at 4 in the morning. Take all my little vitamins and pre-workout drinks, and get to the gym about 5:30 in the morning. Work till about 7:30, and then come here and work all day with customers and all. It's kicking my butt a little bit. So I was a little late. I was a little behind today getting things out. So thanks for joining me tonight. We are. And I'm hoping that this soreness will go away after the first couple of weeks getting back into the routine. I used to work out, but it's been a long time. We're going to have, I think this might be a two-part kind of class, depending on how far we get. I'm going to try to take it at a nice pace, and I don't want the classes to run too long to where they get too boring and you start falling off. And everything, but if we have to, we'll break it up for this week and next week and everything. Before we get started, I do want to make an announcement. Halloween's coming around the corner, and we are, I think I made the announcement last week that I'm working with a new modeling company. We have some, like a Halloween pack of models available for sale, and I don't have the website launched yet. As soon as I get the website launched, all these things are going to be on the website where people can just, click, purchase, download, that kind of thing. I don't have the website up yet, so right now orders are done by email request, and I'll throw my email in the chat area. Laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com. Make sure I spelled everything correctly. So my email's in the chat area and stuff. But before we get rocking and rolling, let's take a quick gander at some of the Halloween models that are going to be available. I just have about 10 of them that we picked out that'll be available individually or by the pack, and I'll tell you what the prices are too, so you know. All right, let's get over to the screen that we're working on. That's going to be screen number 2, right? Screen number 2, yes. And let's get me down in the bottom left-hand corner. Let's go there. All right. So the first model that we have is this skull and hatchets type model. Make a great medallion for an entry door, or something like that along those lines. Let's see here. let's get out of that. We've got this gargoyle here. Great if you carved like an HDU foam and you did, you know, kind of a, you might do it in a couple parts, but make some kind of statue out of it in a sense, and all. It is a single-sided project, but some kind of, you know, something, again, a nice little hallway piece or doorway entry or something like that. Let's see here. We've got some basic stuff like the hat from Harry Potter, and here's the hat with a little scroll giving some kind of message and things. We've got this Indian head kind of skull, you know, kind of, again, another like kind of a door medallion or something like that. Native type head. Let's see here. What else do we have? We have got Jack and Sally. A nice cool little model of Jack and Sally there. And let's get to the actual model of this one. We got a skull. We got some cops, you know. Maybe a sign that says, "Don't take all the candy." If you leave your candy outside on the front porch or something for kids to snack, who knows, something fun or what have you. A few little pumpkins. Got a couple of different jack-o'-lantern and regular pumpkin type model designs. And everything, and this is the Joker skulls. And so right now that's all I have for the Halloween projects and all. To give you a general idea, the projects will range from $15 to $25 each, but if you buy them as a pack, you can save about 13% savings, which is about $31 buying it as a pack. But let's go back. Let's get that zoomed out. Let's jump back all the way back here to the beginning, and there you go. All right, so this guy here, the Celtic Skull, it's about $25 for the download. The gargoyle is $20. The hat, the closed hat, is a $15 model. The hat and scroll is a $20 model. The Indian skull is $25. Jack and Sally is $20. Just the skull here is about 15 bucks. Let's see here. The police kids, those are it's $20. And our pumpkins are $15 each. And the Joker skull is $25. Now, as a combined total, it's about $260 if you bought it as a pack, but you get a discount of 13%, so it's $228 as a pack for all of them, or you can buy them individually. If you're interested in any of them, please email me at laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com, and you can just request which one you want, and I'll send you an invoice for it. And once the invoice is paid, I'll email you the model. So let's see here. What type of foam do you need or use to carve these models or sell? So not necessarily foam. You know, you can carve them in wood and everything, but like, you know, a lot of times when people are making like tombstones, you know, to have in their front yard and all, they're generally using a high density urethane foam, HDU foam. It's a nice outdoor foam. But that's expensive per sheet. I mean, it's like $500 a sheet. So a lot of people actually run down to the big box stores, Lowe's or Home Depot, and they'll get the insulation foam. It comes in different thicknesses, 1 inch and 2 inch thicknesses. It's a dense insulation foam that carves really well. And I use one that's blue or pink sometimes from Home Depot. But it carves really well. You can paint it and everything. I just use a regular project paint for kind of, it's like a matte black and everything. I'll use that, and then I'll top coat that with like stone paint, you know, you can buy from Lowe's or Home Depot, you know, in a rattle can, spray can and stuff. And you can create all kinds of tombstone type things and have some fun stuff. You can but you could make them out of plywood. You can make them out of, I really wouldn't recommend plywood, but you can make them out of wood and things like that. But the foam is really cool because it's kind of durable out in the weather. and it's lightweight and easy to carve and paint and everything, and really have some fun Halloween decorations. Let's see if I can tombstone CNC carvings. Let's see if I can find some really nice examples of some of the things that people are doing. Let's see here. So here's a cool kind of RIP foam sign that's just made with like a blue insulation and you know, simple little, you know, fun little tombstone type things, you know, out in the yard or and all. But if I was doing the medallions and stuff like the Celtic skull type medallion, no, I'd make that out of wood, you know, because after it was hanging on my front door for Halloween, it'd go in my man cave or my shop or something like that. But you know, there are some pretty cool samples, which I can't find any right now. There you go. Here's a good one. You know, kind of get some ideas. Those are all of these different ones are made with foam, you know, for out in the people's yard and things like that. You can have some fun with them and all, you know, just kind of if you're into the Halloween thing and decorating for that. But we do have some models for sale, so it'd be stand by. Note to self, don't close the window when you're working, that you're actually working in for the live stream. Let me get that live stream back here. Okay. All right, I think I might have lost you guys when I closed the window. When I closed the window. So it might have stayed recording, or I might have lost you the minute that I closed the window. I closed those pictures down, and the tab for the live stream was in that browser window that I closed down when I was showing the tombstones. But hopefully you got to see some of the samples of the tombstones and stuff and everything. But yeah, so some fun things that you can do. And I have some Halloween models. I have some others that I actually did a class on last Halloween. There's actually a Spindle TV class where we did some Halloween models and stuff. See if I can dig some of them out and everything and make an announcement for those. But with the ones I showed you, that pack, like I said, you know, they range from $15 to $25. And but if you buy them as a set, you save about 31 bucks. So it's $228 for the set. And there's going to be more models like that, including one of the models that we're working with tonight. The chess set is available. It's a kind of a Greece-inspired chess pieces, not chess set, but the chess pieces. We're going to make the chessboard and all. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in to class. I got the screen up here. And let's start off with the material size and job setup. So let's go into our job setup here. This is a two-sided job for the most part because of the chess pieces. But the actual parts to make the chessboard, they're going to be just a single-sided, but I am going to be working all them because we have the ability to work with sheets now and everything. And so we can work with different sheets, different material thicknesses and all that with version 11, which is awesome. So we'll be able to do everything in one project. Currently right now, I have the main project, especially for the chess pieces. I want to bring them, import them in first and everything. I have this set up for 18 inches in length, about 7¼ inches in height, and about 2½ inches in thickness on the material. I'm going to be touching off on the material surface for both sides when the board gets flipped over. I'll be starting at the bottom left corner of the material for the XY datum, the 0 position for the X and Y of the material, and I will be flipping my board along the Y axis, not along the X, okay? And it really depends on your machine. If your Y is, your long length of your table and your X is your short width, with our digital wood carvers, the 2440 and the mini carver, the long length of the table is the X axis, and to and from the user, which is the narrow width of the table because we stand on the side of the table, is the Y. But I'm going to be flipping along my Y axis. You can choose whichever option you want. I'm going to go with a very high resolution because I will be importing those models in, and that is our job setup. So a two-sided job. You'll see here I have some vectors up here in the corner. We're going to talk about those in a moment. But first, let's focus on importing our model. So I'm going to go to the modeling tab, and I'm going to import a component or 3D model. I'm going to use that button there. And I'm going to go into the folder here and grab the chess set of models. Now, when we import an STL or an OBJ or a third-party model file, bear with me a second. I had the model in earlier, so VCarve Pro only lets us import one set of models. So let me go through and delete what I had here earlier when I was just playing around waiting for class to start. Let's get rid of these levels. We're going to start from scratch. Okay, there's nothing on that one. Let me switch over to side 2 real quick, and let me get rid of, delete that, and I'm going to delete these tabs here and here. All right, let's get back to where we were, and we're going to grab that chess set. When you import a model, the first thing we have to do is orientate it and size it and everything. Right now, these chess pieces and everything, they're coming in at 90 by 35, right? And we need to bring them down. Now, the average height of a chess piece can range anywhere between 3 1/4 to 5 inches tall. Regulations are literally between 3 1/4 to 4 3/4, if I'm not mistaken, for the king and things on the king height and all. So what I want to do is, because my material is 7 1/4 by 18, I'm going to come in here and bring this down to 17 inches, which will bring me down to about 6.973 on the height and everything. And if I were to click apply to change that, that'll size that model group down. And I want to center these models on my material. Now, before I center them, I'm going to move into the Y axis by this little icon in the top corner, so that we're looking at this kind of like on the side of the board here. And you'll see this orbit here with the red and blue crosshair, kind of showing our center line and everything, our 0 plane. When we center the model on this, we want to make sure that, because it's going to be two-sided, we're going to be carving 1/2 on one side, flipping the board over and carving the second half on the other side. So we want these models centered. Now we're looking at the bottom of the models, the actual bases, that's those round circles and everything there. But we've got them centered. I'm going to go back into a Z view, so we're looking at them in an upright fashion and all. So we'll switch that back. And we've got our model parts here. Now, if we had to do any tilting or rotating or anything like that, if our model came in kind of funky sideways or whatever, we can orientate by, top view, front, bottom, right, left, back. And that will kind of orientate how the model sits in or comes in and things, right? So I want to be at a top view because I want to see all the models across my material and everything, and I want them centered in that material. So now that I have them sized and centered, I can go ahead and import them in. And they're not fully down to their full size because, like I said, the king height generally is going to range from like 3 1/4 to 5, 4 3/4 kind of regulation, but some could be a little bit taller and all. But right now, the main thing is I need to orientate this. And I want to create both sides. It's a two-sided project, so we do have the option to create both sides. Now, an overcut distance we won't need with this particular model, but some models do require an overcut, meaning that our bit is allowed to go past the Z-plane, past the center of the board, to get to some parts by whatever distance that we create as the overcut distance. And generally, as a default, if we did require an overcut, like if some of our parts were below the 0 plane and we needed to get to them, generally the overcut distance is going to be the radius of your tool. But once you import them in, you might find that you may need to adjust that a little bit to be able to get the parts. I'm not going to talk about overcut distances too much because we don't need it here, but we will cover that more thoroughly in a class because it's really important. An excellent video to watch for a good description of overcut distances is the Vectric two-sided project of the Marlin statue. The Marlin statue. That's a good because that Marlin has a curve to its body. And so part of its snout, whatever you want to call it, its spear, whatever, part of that is under the Z-plane because of the curve of the model. So the bit has to be able to get to that side, so it has to cut distance, that overcut distance. And it does a really good job of explaining it and all, but we're not going to need that today. Now, undercuts, we have in version 11, we have the ability to highlight undercuts, places that our router bit will not be able to get to because, we're carving down. The router's not tilting to the side or anything like that to, get to those undercut areas and all. So by checking off the box to highlight those undercut areas, it will give you a good indication of what it thinks that, the areas are that the bit can't really get to. And for this particular project, the undercuts are going to be in the queen. And you can see the pink highlights here. Those undercuts, because that part is coming around and there's little cavities in there. So the bit's going to be able to get to part of it, but it's not going to be able to get to all of it, on the inside. But we're going to be using a small diameter bit, so we're going to be able to get a majority of it, but there are some undercut areas that we can't really get to. Now, if you have a model that has a lot of undercuts and everything, then you may look at doing slicing, segmenting these models and importing them in as different segments or slices. But I don't want to slice these chess pieces. I want to carve them, create a one whole chess piece out of a single, piece of wood, carve one half on one side, flip it over and carve the other half. I don't want to carve all the different little segments and then glue each little piece together to make a part, right? So the undercuts here just in the queen, and they're not going to affect my project at all. So I'm going to go ahead and click on import to bring them in. And there we go. And let's get back over to side 1 here. And all, so we can look at this. Now I'm going to pause for just a second. And my volume is maxed out, but I can hardly hear you. Okay, hold on one second. Can anyone else having any issues hearing me with I can bring the microphone closer to my face, but on my mic audio I'm spiking out. Oops, sorry guys. spam calls. Spam, sorry about that. I don't know why. We are trying to reach you about your car's auto warranty. Let me know how you can hear me and everything. Unfortunately, for Steven, I don't know if you have a headset on or something, but you might want to check, your volume again. But I did move the microphone closer, and I did turn the volume up a little bit. So hopefully that helps, Steven. All right, let's see here. Lainey, I'm guessing that you know this. I find this very useful while designing. In the Alignment Tools tab at the bottom, there is a box to check to show those alignment tools on the Drawing tab. Yes, so when we are in here on the Alignment tool, there is a box that you can check that will put all those tools right here in your Drawing tab and everything. Absolutely, it's a good place to have it and everything. I try to keep my menus minimalistic and just open the tool when I need it and everything. But yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing to have, Jim, for sure. Let's see here. Okay, so now we've got the model parts in here, so I'm going to kind of rotate this around. And right now, up at the top here, I'm in a single view, meaning I can only see the top half. Okay, so when I'm in the top side of the board, I can see the top half. When I flip over to the bottom side of the board, I can see the bottom half. But I'm going to click this button here, this little block with a little eyeball underneath it, icon, that will allow me to turn on the two-sided view. Okay, so that we can see, kind of in a three-dimensional view, the two-sided project and all. Okay, and there we go with that. Now, sometimes when we're carving on the one side and then carving on the other, sometimes where our tool, the radius of our finishing tool, our ball nose bit, sometimes we can get a bit of a seam right down the middle of the parts and everything, where the radius gets, and we get kind of a gnarly little area here and stuff on the ends and all. Now this is where an overcut distance, which I said I wasn't going to talk about, this is where something like this may help, just allowing the bit to carve a little bit beyond that zero plane, on both sides, to give it, to maybe kind of clean those edges up and stuff. I don't know how well it will clean up those edges and all, but it never hurts. If you can get that radius of that tip to go down just a little bit more, so you don't get that kind of knurled area and all, sometimes that can be useful. And in our modeling here, we have 3 levels that were created for us when we imported this two-sided model. One of the levels is tabs, so that we can create 3D tabs to hold our parts in place and everything. Our 3D models, we can create tabs for that. Our limit planes, the limit plane is that overcut distance and all. And then of course our model itself, which is the chess pieces itself. Now in the limit planes, if I click on the limit plane and I go into the properties, the little wrench tool up here, currently right now our limit plane is 0. Now I'm gonna flip this in the kind of X view here a little bit, and I'll tilt it just a little bit here. But this kind of pinkish area right here, this kind of shaded area, that's showing our 0 plane, the center of our material, where our models are split and everything. If we were to add a overcut distance and everything, what that does is it will allow the bit to cut beyond that center plane, that 0 plane there. It's not called a center plane, it's called a 0 plane. It will allow the bit to go beyond that and everything. And we don't really need to go too much. Generally, about the radius of your finishing bit is a good starting point, or you could go just a little bit more. In this case, I'm going to go just beyond the radius of my finishing bit, and I'm going to get as much detail as I can on these parts and all. I haven't chosen yet which one I'm going to use, but I'm either going to use my 16th inch tapered ball nose that has a 32nd inch radius, or I'm going to use my 32nd inch tapered ball nose that has a 64th inch radius. It really depends. I'll look at, when we actually calculate the toolpath, I'll look at see which bit is going to give me the best detail and get into the things like the bishop and all of that, in that little slit on the bishop and all and everything. But for right now, I will set that limit plane. It's going to be a negative number, and I will set it to a 16th of an inch. Oops, too many decimal points there. A 16th of an inch. And again, I put in another too many decimal points. Let's try that again. Get rid of one of those. There we go. And that will give me the ability to cut just beyond that zero plane a little bit, to get into these sides a little bit more. And the only reason I'm doing this, because this project really doesn't require an overcut, but I'm doing it in hopes that that the bit being able to go past that center line will help minimize the seam that would be there, on those two parts and everything. So now, as far as the actual models, currently right now, they are in a group, right? Well, we're going to need 1 king, 1 queen, 2 bishops, 2 knights, 2 rooks, and 8 pawns. Okay? This is going to be a project where we're going to have multiple sheets laid up, because we need to be able to lay out our pawns and everything. And what we're going to do is, because we're in VCarve Pro and we're not in Aspire, if I was in Aspire, I could select, the vector around the pawn and delete everything else. But we're in VCarve Pro, so we're going to use clipping. Drawing a vector around what we want to keep, and clipping away what we don't want, which will kind of basically turn it off. And I'm hoping that we can do this on our different sheets with a copy and paste function, and we can clip away what we don't need and keep what we do, so we can create those 7 additional pawns that we'll need, the additional rook, knight, and bishop that we're going to need as well. We will see how well that goes. Let me turn that ringer off. Tuesday night class. I will call them back. Okay. All right. So we will work on these and see what we can do with it in VCarve Pro to give you some ideas. Now, so as far as Kool-Aid's question, where did you get the chess pieces? The modeling company that I work with, this is their Greek chess pieces, and this model set is available for sale. The model set, let me look at my little spreadsheet here for this one. It is $45 for this set of chess pieces. All right, let's go, but you can email me at laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com to order them if you want. Let's see here. Dennis says, Jeff Diebold, the outside edge of the board will still be there for a flat surface when you flip it. Yes. that is very important. Is you know, when we're carving, we're just carving in the model areas and all, so we're still going to have the surface between the models and around the outer edge, that when we, you know, flip the board over, we will have, you know, that material and everything. And right now my material is very minimalistic. I may make it an inch bigger all the way around, because I'm going to have to flip these boards, so I am going to be using some alignment holes, right? We're going to be using some alignment holes to make sure that when we flip the parts, that everything lines up perfectly and all. So I might give myself a little bit of room on the job size, but not, I don't need much more of this. Right now I want to focus on let's getting all the parts laid out, and then we'll go in and change our sheet sizes accordingly and everything. Cool. All right, now before we get talking too much, let me just wet my whistle here. That's good stuff. Okay, let's see here. So the first thing that we're going to do with the model pieces is I'm going to go into sheets here, and we have our sheet 1. I'm going to go ahead and add a new sheet, and currently right now it's going to be the same size, and I'll add whatever size I need to make them. I'll go in and edit those momentarily, but I'm going to just call this, for right now, I'm just going to leave it sheet 2. And let's go ahead and add a third one in there. Now, on sheet 1, which is active, that's what we're working on right now, I'm going to go into the modeling tab, and I'm going to take these chess pieces here, and I'm going to duplicate them. Let's see here. I'm going to create a new level, and I'm going to call this, we're going to insert a new level, and when you go to rename it, don't hit delete, hit rename. There we go. I'm going to call this chess pieces 2. Very original name there, chess pieces 2. And I want to take this, and if I can right click and I can copy and paste, I can duplicate, but I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to drag a copy up into this here. Okay, and on this copy, I'm going to turn off the first copy real quick here, and I'm going to take the copy, and I'm going to move them to sheet 2. Okay, so that way I'll have them on both sheets. Let's make sheet 2 active here. So sheet 2 and sheet 1 has those 2 on there. Now I've got to remember to do the same thing on the other side, you know, the side 2. Can't forget, or it'll be just half the side, right? And what I want to do in the modeling tab, I want to go ahead and create a new level, rename that level, and I'm going to call this chess. I'm actually going to rename this chess sheet 3, and chess pieces 2, I want to rename that to chess sheet 2. Sheet 2. Okay. Again, I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to drag a copy into sheet 3 here. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the other two sheets for a moment, the visibility on the other two sheets. And let's take this and move to sheet 3. Okay. So now I've got, and notice that the sheets, or it's only showing me the models that are available in the sheets. Notice they're not in that component tree, but when I'm in sheet 1 right now at the top. When I switch, to sheet 2, then in my modeling plane, you're going to see those models there, right? And everything. And we'll probably, because we have that overcut distance, we want to keep everything matched up. So back on sheet 1, right? Back on sheet 1, let's make it active. In the modeling tab here, my limit plane, there is, on this layer here, this is the limit plane, right? And currently, by default, it's turned off and everything. And what that looks like in the 3D view, if I turn it sideways here, and all, it is, and let's turn on the, turn on this. Here we go. Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in to this. The limit plane is just below what the zero plane is, and everything. And do I have a layer for the zero plane? Let me see here. No, I don't have a layer for the zero plane. And so what I want to do is I want to take this limit plane and I want to take and let's see. Let me see something. Let me see how well Vectric did here. Yep, there's no limit plane on that. Alright, so I'm going to take that limit plane, have it selected. And let's see how well Vectric is going to work with me on this. I can move it to different levels, but can I move it to different sheets? Oh, Vectric. Let me turn off side 2 for a minute, just to hide those models for the moment. Limit plane. All right, let's select that. And copy it. I think I'm going to have to do this the long way around. Go into sheet 2. Go to the modeling tab. Hold on a minute. Let's see here. Paste. That'll work. Alright, and then I gotta go back. So yeah, we're gonna have to kind of copy and paste that one. I was hoping that they would have a move to function. Maybe it's something we can talk to them about. Let's go back to the sheets. Go back to sheet 1. Actually, I might be able to just jump right straight to sheet 3 on this one. And since it's already in my clipboard, I should be able to edit, paste that there as well. So that one's going to be a bit of a, you know, the limit plane is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt to just make sure you get them all, because we got to do the same thing on the other sides as well. All right, so we got it over there, so that's good. That's all that matters. And let's now I'm going to focus on sheet 2 here and make sure that that is what's active. Let's go to sheets, make sheet 2 active. There we go. Awesome. And I'm going to, in the modeling tab, I'm going to select the chess pieces and I'm going to create a vector boundary around them. Okay. So what that will do in the 2D view is it will draw a vector boundary around each of the parts we have here. And it will now allow me to activate clipping or use those boundaries from my toolpaths and things like that. And on sheet 2, I don't need the king and queen here. So the first thing I'm going to do in my drawing tab is I'm going to ungroup those vectors so they're individual, and I'm going to turn off this and this here. And in my modeling tab in sheet 2 in this level, I'm going to, and let me insert a new level here real quick, rename that to limit planes, and I want to move this up into that level. I don't want it in the same level there. Okay, but I want to go ahead and select the level 1 where the chess pieces are, and I want to apply clipping. Okay, so that will, in the 3D view, it will give me, you know, these models, because I'm going to need one more bishop, one more rook, one more knight, and I'm going to need additional pawns. And I'm going to try to fill up this empty space with some additional pawns and get them into positions to fill up that space. And then on sheet 3 is going to be all pawns. So I'm going to go 1, 2, I should be able to get 2 more pawns on this sheet. That'll be 3, and then on my other sheet I'll just need 4 pawns, 5 pawns to finish off the 8 pieces I need. So let's do that right now. Let's go in, and if I'm going to apply clipping to get rid of the things that I don't want, then those individual clippings have to be on different levels. It's important. If I try to, if I try to do everything on the same level, the clipping's not going to work appropriate for me. So we're going to go insert a new level, and this, let's copy. I'm not a big fan. I'm going to hold down the control key and just drag a copy up in there. It's just a little easier. Right click copy, right click paste. It's just too many clicks for me. Control key, drag it up, drag the copy up in there. All right, now on level 2, coming back to our 2D view, we're going to select just the pawn vector here, and we're going to apply clipping. Okay, and on that, let's go in. I'm going to do a split view here so we can see things in a split view. Can you guys see that? Let's zoom into this a little bit tighter here. And let's zoom into this a little bit tighter. All right, so on this clipping here, you're seeing these other models because they're active from level 1. right? But the pond is, you know, level 2 here. And so on this chess piece, I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Let me select it. Double click on it. And I'm going to hold down, I'm not going to hold down the control key just yet, but I'm going to move this whole thing. Now notice it's moving the whole 3D view because it's still one model, but we're only using one of the models with it. So I'm actually going to move this over to right about here where the queen is. Okay. And it's important when you do that, it's important, take the vector of the pawn with you. Wonderful. So I'm going to drag, let's do that again. Hold down and grab that vector and let's move that over. Okay. All right. And once again, because I moved the vector and I moved the parts and all that stuff, I need to go back to clipping and update it. Okay, update it. All right, so that way we just have that pawn there. So when I turn on these other pieces here, we'll have, you know, those parts and this extra pawn there. All right, one more time, we're gonna go in and create a new level. This level 3 here is going to be for my next additional pawn, and I'm going to hold down the control key, drag that up in there to create that copy. Okay, and I'm going to, I don't want to lose this pawn vector here and everything when I move the next piece, this next copy over. So I'm going to, when I hold down the control key, I'm not going to select that vector this time. I'm going to move this over. Let's get it somewhere in the general area. It doesn't really matter where. I'm going to, with it being selected, one, two, 3. I did not need to hold the control key down when I did that. Sorry, folks. That was a little confusing. Let's try that again. On this one here, I don't need to hold the control key down because that'll make a copy. I just need to move it over. Okay, so we're going to move that over there. And I want to come in and make sure that my clipping is updated. So what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to create a new boundary around those, so that vector is there as well, you know, for that and all. So now I should have a part that looks like this for sheet 2. Let's go maximize here. So I should have a part that looks like this for sheet 2, and sheet 1 I should have it would help if I turn the model on. Sheet 1. Okay, I should have all those parts. Okay, sheet 1, and then sheet 2 should be all of these parts. Now I need 5 more pawns on sheet 3. So we're going to take and create a new level. Hold down the control key and drag that here. And then I'm going to come down and select this model, and I'm going to move it. Hold on a second here. Bear with me a second, guys. I'm getting okay, that level's correct. Copy to other side. Where the hell's my move to sheet? Hold on a minute, guys. What's going on there? Copy to other side. Move to other side. Where's my move to sheet? Okay. I might be getting confused with myself, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just copy this. Go into sheet 3. Sorry about that. And on sheet 3, I've already got the chess set there, right? What I'm actually going to do with that is, let's paste this, edit, paste, and let's get rid of this chess set. I don't need that anymore. Okay, and on this one, I should be able to select that part, hold down the control key and drag over 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't worry about these other chess pieces that are popping up. We're going to clip those away in just a moment. One, two, three, 4, 5. I could probably have spread those out a little bit more to minimize my waste. That's okay. We'll go here. Okay. We'll move these around in just a minute. Now, when I'm making these copies and everything here, okay, there's no clipping on this current level, okay, because you know it's a new sheet. And there's no clipping activated, right, and everything. So what I'm going to do is on each, let's go into the 2D view. It'll be easier to view in the 2D view. On each of these individual chess pieces and all, I'm going to create a boundary around each of them. So we're going to, for this first one, create the boundary. And I'm going to ungroup that boundary. I'm going to hit the letter U on the keyboard for ungroup, right? That way I can select these vectors that I don't need and just hit delete. Okay. Chess set 7, create the boundary, select the boundaries, hit the letter U for ungroup, select these and hit delete. Chess level 6, create the boundary, ungroup the boundary, get rid of these, and hit delete. And chess level 5, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Ungroup, get rid of that one. Oop. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is the last one. Create that boundary. And I don't have to delete anything else. Now on these pieces here, you know, we've got like right now a bunch of models stacked on top of each other, right? We got to apply that clipping. And since I'm going to be using all of these vectors, I should be able to apply the clipping. And let me create a new level to move the 0 plane up into that level. That way it's not involved in the clipping. And I should be able to apply the clipping. And be left with these parts. And of course, let me undo that. One, two, three, four, five. You should let me apply that across the board. Okay. All right. It's not going to let me do it as a group because those models are stacked on top of each other, and parts of those models that are stacked on top of each other fall within those vectors. So it's not going to let me clip properly by keeping them all in one level. So I have to create 5 separate levels, which is a bummer, but hey, we'll get her done. Insert the levels. One more. And we're going to take this one, no control key. I'm just moving it into that level. Moving this one into this level. This one into this level to keep separated. So that each of them are on their own individual level. Okay. Now I still have these vectors selected, so let's do one level at a time. So this set here, okay, this set here is this part here, it's this guy right here. I'm going to select this vector, I'm going to come up to this level and apply the clipping. Okay. On level 6 here, this set of models, that's this group here. I'm going to select this and apply the clipping. Okay. Level 4, which is chess piece 6, we're going to select this vector. And level 4, apply the clipping. Working our way down. Apply the clipping. There you go. And this set here should be that. And I can apply the clipping. Okay, so now I should be left with the 5 pawns. Now, unfortunately, it's what I want to do here is they're not really spaced out very well, you know, and stuff and everything. So I'd like to, you know, kind of get them spread out so I minimize my waste and all. But any changes that I make in the model positions and things like that, I have to reapply, make sure I have the right pawn vector selected and reapply the vector or the clipping. This is gonna not overcomplicate it. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just got to keep track of what you're doing because everything we're doing here, and these models are symmetrical and everything, so we can very easily copy them to the other side. You know, copy them to the other side and things. Instead of having to go to side 2 and take all those models over and all those models over and so on and so forth, we're just going to copy to the other side with these parts here. But let me see how well this will let me do this for myself. If I go into the drawing tab and I draw a rectangle around the perimeter of my board, okay, and I come into my modeling tab and select all of the models with the clipping engaged, will it let me center in space based on the clipped model, or is it going to center in space based on the area of the models that it's still kind of, you know, showing here in the 2D view? Let's find out, because I actually don't know the answer to that one. So if I select these models here, and I'm also going to select these vectors here, the pond vectors, then the rectangle last, I should theoretically be able to go into the drawing tab, align to center, we'll go up and down, and space inside the last vector horizontally. Let's see what that looks like in the 3D view. Not even close. Not even close. So, that, my ladies and gentlemen friends, that is definitely worthy of an undo. Okay. So, that is definitely not going to work. That's a shame that that's not going to work that way. It really is. Because, man, that would just make life so much easier. Alright, I'm going to undo the moving of those pawns. Let me think about this for a second. With each of those models selected, and I select the rectangle last, that's my boundary. Man, why can't I do that? Let's see here. Align space equal distance horizontally inside the last vector. Yeah, it's basing it on the whole model. That's a shame. This is where Aspire has a little bit of a shine above, you know, Desktop and Pro, because I can delete everything. You know, I don't need all those kings and all those queens and all those knights and bishops and all. So I could select the pawn and delete the rest of that model, right? So I'm going to have to basically, in the 3D view here, I'm going to have to come in and do a split view. Zoom in on here. So on this model here, this model and this vector, I'm going to move that up to there and see it moves the whole set. That's fine. I'm going to move that there. Okay, and I have to apply the clipping every time I move that, which, you know, go to the level, clipping, and just update it. Okay, simply update it. Alright, so this model section here and this vector, oops, that model and this section here, I can move that up, space that there, and in that level, update the clipping. Okay, this one here, select this vector, move it into position where I want it. In that level, update the clipping. All right, 2 more. I'll do them really fast for you get the idea. So this, move that. Update. And let me move that over just a little bit to the right there. And I got to re-update. I just moved it again, so I got to re-update that clip. Perfect. And finally, this one here. Select this. Move that into position. That looks good. And in that level, update the clipping. Okay, so hey, it is what it is. You know, we've got to do what we got to do. I think what I'm gonna do to make life easy on y'all is I'm going to actually take each of these models. No, I'm not. In VCarve Pro and Aspire, or I'm sorry, Desktop and VCarve Pro, we can only import one STL at a time, right? And we can copy it multiple times once it's in per project. So if I separate this and I created all these pawns and all that stuff, you'd only be able to bring in one pawn or one king or one queen if you had Desktop or Pro. So that would be a disadvantage to you. So I'm going to leave everything like it is, and you're going to have to kind of use this first. I mean, hell, we've been at it already for an hour. Use this first hour of this video and kind of follow the instruction. If you get stuck, give me a call. All right, so we've got the vectors selected here. Now, fingers crossed, right, on this sheet, if I select this, I even want the 0 plane turned on. If I copy this to the other side, okay, and I switch to the other side. Okay, let's go into a full 3D view so y'all can see this much better. Everything, when I copied it, everything went right into one level, right? There's no clipping, no nothing on that other side, right? So I'm gonna undo this just because I want to see if there was a better option for me on side 1. Is there a copy? So let's go back to side 1 and let's look at this again. I want to select the levels. If I hold down the shift key, can I select more than one level at a time? No. So it's just the models. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, copy to the other side. It's going to put me in one level, which means I got to separate the levels again and do my spacing will all be there. I just got to separate the levels and do the apply, you know, for the clipping. Sucks, but hey, that's what it is. All right, let's go ahead and do that really quickly. So select all of these. I'm holding down the metric. Are you listening? Let's be able to copy the other side and separate it into levels if it's already separated into levels. Copy to other side. Okay. On the other side, okay. All right, sorry about that, guys and girls. We buffered a little bit on that move. We had to, I hit move to other side and not copy to other side, and it screwed me up. All right, and everything. So we got kind of screwed up on that. So let's switch over to the other side here. Okay, first things first, we got to create all of our different levels. I am gonna start off with my first level. When I insert it, I am going to rename it automatically right off the gate to limit plane. Because I want to move that up into, I want to know that it's in its own one. As far as the other ones, I'm just going to go level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're going to insert a new level. One, two, let's get these in order. Move 5 there. Let's put 4 underneath. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we got everything moved over. Okay, stand by one moment. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. All right, I brought the mic down just a little bit. 1, 2. Let me know if that helps out. Chris Leach. Let me know. All right, so on the parts here, okay, I want to make sure the first thing I need to do is I need to create my vector boundaries. Okay, and so I'm going to create my vector boundary. You know, for these, I'm going to ungroup the letter U to ungroup, and I'm going to get rid of these vectors and hit delete. Right? I want to recreate my I want to create my vector boundaries for each of these models before I move them into a level. Okay, and then, you know, with it selected, I can go into that level and I can do it one by one just to make it, you know, a little bit more organized for myself. I can apply that. Okay, the next chess set, I'm going to create the vector boundary. Ungroup the letter U. I'm going to select the ones that I don't want and hit delete to get rid of those. Select that vector and move this up into this level. And then apply the clipping one by one. Okay. Level 3, this chess set here, I'm going to create the vector boundary. That's this third icon up there. So rinse and repeat. We got to do it 5 times. Select the boundary. Hit the letter U to ungroup. Select the ones I don't want and hit delete. Select that vector. Come over here and hold the shift key down. Select this model and drag this model up into its level. And then apply the clipping to the level. Make sure you got the right vector selected for the clipping. Okie dokie dokie dokie. All right. Boundary. Select. Ungroup. Select. Delete. Select. Hold down the shift key. Move into level. Apply clipping. Okay, and boundary, select, ungroup, delete the vectors that you don't want, select, and apply clipping. Okay, so now if we were look at this at the 3D view, we should have our 5 pawns here, and if we go into a 3D view, let's see here, turn on our 3D view. There we go. On side 2 and side 1, and we should have our whole models there. Let's see. Right? Okay. So that's our pawns. They're done. Sheet 3 with the 5 pawns is done. Okay, let's go back to side 1 here. So sheet 3 that has the 5 pawns on it, if we go into our 2D view, we're in sheet 3 here. They're done. All right. These vectors that are all over the place on this side and everything, I'm going to actually delete those. And I'm going to take these guys here, and I'm just going to copy them over to the other side. That way they're there and organized. And I am going at a little bit of a ramp. They're not all even on the bottom, blah, 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 but I'm not going to, I mean, hell, I'm just cutting them out of the board. I don't need them to be even and all that good stuff. All right, so we've got our pawns done on sheet 3. Wonderful. Going back to our sheets, sheet 2. Make it active. Okay. Sheet 2 should have my pawn, my rook, knight, castle, or I'm sorry, bishop, and 2 extra pawns there for the other 3 pawns that I need. So the other 2 parts that I need and the other 3 pawns. So that's good. On the other side of this, now this particular part is, I mean, it's pretty symmetrical, so I could copy to the other side. Some models you can't do that, right? Because the other side might look completely different, okay, and all that, but they're identical on the other side, okay, these parts here. So I'm going to simply select these, and I'm going to copy, not move, copy to other side. I was hoping we'd get into the design of the chessboard, but it looks like we're just dealing with chess pieces today. I didn't think there was that much to go about. All right, in the on the vectors here, this vector and this vector, I definitely want to copy to the other side. Copy to the other side. The queen and king vectors, I don't need them on this sheet, but I do need this pawn. I do need that vector, so I'm going to, with it selected, I'm going to select the create a boundary so it redraws that one for me, and I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to hold my shift key down and deselect this one. Hold the shift key and turn that one off, and just hit the delete key to get rid of the others that were on there. So I should have a vector for each of these parts, right? And what I want to do is, I've already copied those 2 to the other side. These remaining 4 vectors, I want to copy those to the other side also. They're going to help me with my modeling toolpath to make sure I'm just carving within the vector. I don't need to carve all the material away and stuff. So I'm going to copy those to the other side also. So what I should have, if we look at side 2 on this, I should have the models, but I gotta apply the clipping again for the layers. Remember, when we copied everything to the other side, it really put it all in one level. So we got to do just like we did with sheet 3 very quickly. We've got 4 separate models here. We're going to come in and let's see which ones we don't want or don't need. All right, we need that one, that one, that one, and this one. If I turn this off, these are my other half here. Level 3 should be that one as well. Yeah, so this chess piece set here 4 doesn't need to be there. So get rid of that, delete it. All right, so I need 3 levels. I'm going to create 4, make sure I have 4 because of my clearance plane, you know, the limit plane. All right, so insert a new level, insert a new level, insert a new level. All right, this chess set here, or this chess piece here, I'm going to hold down the, I'm not going to hold down anything. I'm going to go into the 2D view. I'm going to select this vector, right? I'm going to hold down the shift key and select this chess piece, and I'm just going to drag it, let go of the shift key, and I'm just going to drag that up into level 4. In level 4, I'm going to apply the clipping. Done. This chess piece here, I'm going to turn on, let's turn on these other models, make them all active. This is the one that I want. I'm going to drag that up into level 3 and apply the clipping just like we did on sheet 3. Now this level here, level 2, I'm actually going to rename this to limit plane, and I'm going to move that all the way up to the top of the, actually I'm going to keep it, yeah, at the top of the list, move it all the way up there. And I still got to put the limit plane, I got to copy it over to the other side and drop it in there. But on this one, okay, this model here, I actually need these vectors selected. So this one, the castle, the knight, the rook, just those. I don't need the 2 pawns selected, just those. And I'm going to apply the clipping to that. So when it's all said and done, I should have just my pieces here, and you know, I've got my parts here. Okay, very cool. All right, now you see this one that's sticking out real funky? That's on side 1, and it means that there's a double there. There's 2 together. Let's go back to side 1 real quick. Let's flip this back up. Side 1. All right. If I flip this on the y-axis for a minute, I want to see which one's my fat one. I think it's the one here over on the left. Yeah, that one right there. So I have an extra model. All right, it's not that one. Or is it? Okay, turn that one off. That should be, that's the one right there. Doesn't need to be in the equation, so I can delete that and that level. Okay, very good. So I made one more than I needed. And so it was stacked on top of each other. All right, so side one, the limit plane here, this limit plane, I want to, on sheet 2, I want to go ahead and copy that to the other side. And that's it. Flip that over to the other side. Make sure that limit plane is up in its level there. Perfect. All right, sheet 2 is done. And then sheet 1 should be done already as well. No clipping or anything was needed for it. Sheet 1 is done. And we've got to take the modeling, and that should be this set here, and copy to other side. No vectors or anything are needed with that. I'll make the vectors on the other side. There we go. So we have our 2 pieces there. Wonderful. Limit plane, I'll go ahead and copy that to the other side as well. All right, for sheet 1, we can flip over. Shoo, this one was a little pain in the butt. All right, I already had the limit plane there, so I didn't need to copy it, so I'm going to just delete it. I didn't need it. All right, delete that. Where'd my delete go? There it is. All right, cool. I've got everything I need there. Wonderful. What I would like in the 2D view for sheet 1, what I would like for sheet 1 is I would like to, on the models, I would like to go ahead and create the vector boundaries so I have them, right? So I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to flip it over and select that model again right there. And I'm going to create the boundary for the other side. So now I have vectors for each of those on the other side as well for my toolpaths. Awesome. Wonderful. What do you say we make some toolpaths and get the heck done with the chess pieces? Hey, Tim Taylor. All right, let's say that, let's grab these vectors here. Not the limit plane, those vectors there. And in the 3D rough cut or 3D finish, I'm going to do a rough cut for these. Now, I'm actually jumping into the toolpath when I should be making sure my parts are the right size, right? Right now, they could be any size they want, and they're bringing in, like I said, on my king here, I've got him sized up. Let me select that vector and ungroup him. He is about 6.67 inches tall, right? I want, all right, the king, for the king, he should be between 3 1/4, 3 1/2 or something like that, to 4 3/4 regulation kind of, but you can go a little higher. So what I'm going to do is, because all the models and everything are, you know, the aspect ratio and all for them, I'm going to come into my model set here. I'm going to select the vectors with it as well, not the limit plane. I don't need that. But I want to make sure my vectors and all are selected also, and I'm going to scale this down. I'm going to go into my actual drawing tools this time. I'm not just going to freehand it and all, but I am going to size it down. And right now my king, you know, it's telling me what my tallest vector is, right? It's at 0.67832. I'm going to bring that down to, I'm going to go just 5 inches for this. So I'm going to go 5 inches and click apply. It's going to scale everything appropriately, all the parts. 5 inches. I'm just going to go 5 inches. Okay, perfect, done. All right, so in my 3D view, now my parts, you know, are, my chess pieces are sized appropriately for a chess set and everything. That will bring my base diameter here. If we look at the model thickness, if you will, let's go into the material setup. My model thickness is about 1 and a little under 5/8 inches in all, and I need to make sure that I'm in the center of my material. We're going to be removing material off the top of the part and off the bottom of the part where the models are, and the models are going to get cut out in the middle of the board. Okay, cool. All right, so now my model, you know, I don't necessarily need a 2.5 inch thick piece of material for this. Now that I've sized them down to the appropriate size and all. So let's go. I'm gonna go 2 inches thick. Let that reset itself. Give me just a minute. Resize yourself. It helps if you hit enter. All right. So let's get that centered there. There we go. So we're going to be removing a little less than 1/8 of an inch from each side and everything from the models, you know, as the model gets carved and all. So 2 inches is good. All right, so wonderful. Job is set up for this sheet. We're on side 2 of sheet 1. Notice you're going to be creating your toolpaths for each individual sheet, right? So sheet 1, these models here, I'm going to make sure that the vectors are selected. I'm going to do a 3D rough cut. I'm going to use the selected vectors as the boundary. I could even use do the selected level as the boundary and just make sure it's the model. Okay. Either one of those two will work generally the same for me. I'm going to let the bit go outside the line just a little bit. I'm going to go about let it go about 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to have a little bit of allowance for the finish cut. I'm going to do a Z-level raster and calculate that toolpath. Preview that visible toolpath. Okay, that's going to be the rough cut. And then I'm going to do a 3D finish. Let me make sure that I'm good there. I am, instead of doing the level, let me look at my levels here. Model 1. So it's just the chest set on there. That's good. Chest set 3 is a level. These levels don't need to be here. So model 1. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's fine. 3D finish cut. I'm going to use, this is where I want to decide what bit I want to use. And since my parts are, you know, have a little bit of detail, and I want to try to get the best detail I can on these smaller areas and all, I am going to use my 32nd inch ball nose, tapered ball nose. So I'm going to come in here And I'm going to let me find my, there we go. Why are my tapered ball nose bits missing? Give me just a second. My tapered ball nose category bits are missing. Where the hell's my category? All right, for some reason, I gotta figure out where my category went to. Let's see here. Let's go into there. Oh, but damn. I'm missing a category. That's all right. Let's go ahead and just add, I'll just put it under ball nose. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call this tapered ball nose. Tapered ball nose. Click apply. All right, in that group, I'm going to add a new tool. This is going to be a tapered ball nose bit. It's going to have a shank diameter of 1/4 of an inch. It's going to have a side angle of 6.3 degrees. The tip radius is going to be 64, so I'm going to divide a 32nd by 2 because I don't remember the decimal off the top of my head. There we go. It is a 3 flute. I'm going to step over 8%, and 20 is good there. Pass depth, I'm going to go 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to spin this bit at 18,000 RPMs with a feed rate of 50, and a plunge rate of 25 is fine. All right. Now, once again, the level, we're going to do selected level or selected vectors if I have the vectors selected, which I do, right? Either one, but I'm just going to do model 1, that level. That's my chess set, so it'll just carve the models. And let's calculate that. Actually, let me stop that. Stop that calculation. I want to let it go past the model again by, this time I'm going to go a 1/16 of an inch because it's a smaller diameter, so that'll get it past there pretty good. Let that calculate, and let me see how many hundreds of thousands of questions you guys have that I've missed while I've been talking. All right, let's go back up and let's see here. I'm curious, how do you get a flat board bottom to be able to carve the back side? Okay, someone answered that for me already. That was Dennis that answered that for Jeff. We're only carving the model areas, so when we flip it over, it's going to have that surface, you know, to sit on the other side. Where did you get the chess pieces from? Like I said, you can order them from me. When you flip it, do you undercut both sides? Yeah, on Vern, on the limiting plane, I'm letting the bit go past the 0 plane, you know, on both sides and everything. So if we preview that visible toolpath, let that carve that out. Let's see, while that's carving out, let's see here. I missed the first part for the pawn. Couldn't you just select the pawn and do an array copy? Harvey, this is VCarve Pro. So the pawn is part of all the models. The king, queen, bishop, knight, rook, pawn, right? So if I select the pawn and I did an array, it's going to do an array of all those parts. I have to create the vector around that pawn and do a clipping to delete what I don't need. Okay? And everything to create my other pawns and stuff, which we did. And so you'll have to go back to the first part where we did all that and everything. I can't do an array copy because it'll array copy all of it, because even though I'm clipping saying, hey, everything outside of this boundary get rid of or hide it, don't carve it, you know, it's not part of anything, whatever, I'm clipping that away. It's still, those models are still there. I'm just clipping away, so in the 3D view all I see is, you know, the parts that I want. But I still have to kind of copy and paste and move those to different levels and clip each one of those levels. So I can't do an array copy with that. If it was just a single pawn, yeah, absolutely, I could do an array copy for however many I want or whatever. Let's see here. Copy and activate sheet number 3, then paste. There you go, Dennis. Thanks for... I think when I was struggling, Dennis jumped in and said, copy. You only need 4 pawns on sheet 3. 1, you're right. 2, 3, 4. I only need 4 pawns on sheet 3, not 5. I was not counting this pawn here on sheet 1. Totally forgot about that pawn on sheet 1. Smoothberg, thank you very much. I appreciate that, letting me know that one. Could you just use the array function for the pawn? No, I just answered that question. Great example of working with VCarve Pro and level clipping. Thanks, Brooks. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Great endorsement to upgrade, Dane. Yep. Anyone buffering? Yes, that's when we were buffering. Let me get past all those. Hey, quick tip. If you can remember, when you have questions, like in the chat, if you'll put like a question mark in front of your question, or maybe 2 question marks, and then ask your question, when I'm looking through the entire conversation, I can easily pick those out much faster. So, hey, let's start doing that. I might remind you at the beginning of every class. Put a couple of question marks and then your question. That way I can see those question marks and know it's a question, rather than reading everybody's conversation and trying to get through this. Let's see here. How are you doing? I'm doing well. Let's see. Life is good. Laney's online. All right. We got a spammer that jumped into the chat area. Let's remove that. Okay. Laney, is there a good site to buy vectors? Chris, I mean, eBay. eBay is a good site that has lots of different designs, vectors, SVG, DXF, PDF, type vectors for all kinds of different designs and projects and stuff. They even have CRV projects, Vectric projects that you can buy. Etsy's good, you know, for that. Vectors. Yeah, I'm just going to say Etsy on that one, on vectors. Models, now that's a different story. From us, right? From me, we do custom models, portraits and all kinds of things. But the cgtrader.com, I use that a lot. 3dwave.org. Thingiverse is okay. But yeah, my go-to CG Trader on models, besides, you know, now with spindletv.com, that's going to be your go-to to buy models, because when that site launches, it'll actually be builditv.com. When that site launches, we're going to have a whole gallery of models that you can purchase and things like that, and all that wonderful stuff. So cool. Let me get rid of this spammer. There we go. You got spammed on the chat line. Yeah, Brooks, I took care of that. Yeah, Kool-Aid. I got rid of the. I deleted the, but it. Let me see what this option is. Hide user. Okay, that should do it. Anyhow, oops, hold on, Chris. Oh, I hid Chris Copenhagen. Chris, I didn't mean to hide you. I hit the wrong one. Bear with me a second. Unhide. All right, you're back, Chris. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong one. Okay. All right, let's move on, guys and girls. Let's flip over to side 2. Side 2, where our model 1 layer is where our model is. Let's go in here, and on side 2, again, 3D rough cut. We're going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to use the selected level. Model 1 level is fine. We're going to let it offset by 1/8 of an inch. Z level raster. Z level is good. And calculate that rough cut. I'm going to do the rough and the finish, and then I want to see about tabs. And we're going to talk really quickly about adding 3D model tabs. It's completely a little bit different than adding actual like tabs in a profile toolpath. We're going to do 3D model tabs because with the overcut distance and everything, when I do this rough cut and especially the finish cut, it should cut all the way through and everything. So let's preview that visible toolpath. Okay, stop the presses. Okay, so there's something weird. Unless I'm just looking at it wrong. King, queen. Yeah, something got off on there. I'm going to close that. Reset the preview. Alright, that might not be the right model set. That is the right model set. Let's get rid of this model. Okay, that should be just that one now. Don't you be acting funky like that again. All right, let's go back in there on that 3D finish cut. And model 1 or level 1, all of level 1. And calculate. Let that calculate. All right, your Halloween models, are they for Aspire, Vectric Pro Release 11? They are for Desktop Pro and Aspire. Desktop Pro and Aspire. You can use them to import into Desktop Pro or Aspire for the models, Carl. On those Halloween models. Anyone can use them. Yes, yes. Until the website launches, laney.shaughnessy@spindletv.com. I put it in the chat earlier. I'm going to do it again if you do want to order any models. And also, they do custom models as well, portraits of animals and people and things like that. Like if you have a customer that wants their photo done and you're wanting a model, a portrait done, I'll show you a quick example of some of their portraits. But that looks much better on that toolpath. Let's go ahead and preview all toolpaths. This one right here, this toolpath right here is what's funking me up. Funking. F-U-N-K-I-N-G is what I'm saying. Funking. It looks funky. Because something's off. Pawn. Castle. Okay, I'm going to stop that. And I'm not going to use the level. There's something going on with the Model 1 level. Using the level as the boundary. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to waste time on it. I'm going to use the selected vectors as the boundary for this one. And I'm going to select these vectors here. Because there was something goofy with that. I don't know why... I don't know what it was reading or what it was calculating, but it was doing a weird cut. So I don't know why that did that. So we're going to use the selected vectors as a boundary. I want to just carve those areas right there. Oh, thanks, Chris. While that is calculating, I'll prep. Much better. So let's reset that preview. Preview the visible toolpath. Better. Better. All right, when I was talking about while that toolpath is calculating everything, when I was talking about portraits, you're able to submit photos and have those photos turn into models for carving. So here's a nice wedding photo sample. Model, and things. So portrait samples. This is a kind of a side view. It looks a little skewed, but that's because it's turned to the side, so you can see it from the side. So the company I'm working with does models for animals, pets, people, and everything. So you can request custom modeling. Some prices and things will vary, but I will tell you that if you're in the Digital Woodcarver Owners Group, I did a post laying out the prices. The regular Halloween stuff and things, not something customized like this. Those are, they're going to range always between $15 and $25 for the model. But a custom model, and try to do high quality images, but they can still work with low quality images, but still we want high quality images and all. But custom models, they're going to be a little bit pricier when it comes to that. And so to give you a general idea, a portrait such as this, it would be $130 per face, and additional $30 if they have glasses. So it'd be $160 for that portrait. This would be $130. So a single portrait, a single person portrait is $130 per person or per face. When it's two faces and everything, it's going to be, $260. It's going to be $130 each. If there's glasses, add another $30 to that type of things. Animal portraits and all, they're going to be around $135, and or some patriotic portraits and stuff, flags, custom model. If you send an image and said, hey, can you make this into a model? Yeah, they're going to be priced on a case by case basis, but general animal and people portraits around 130 to, per person, per face kind of deal. Okay, let's close out of that. All right, so we've got side 2 there done. Let's flip back over to side 1 and preview side 1. And what I'm looking for here, now I'm just previewing the finished cut. I didn't do the rough cut. There's no sense in wasting time on the rough cut. Not when you're carving, you're going to do a rough cut, but as far as previewing this. And what I want to make sure of is that when it's all said and done, I want to see, I should be cutting through the part at this point. We'll see that when it's finished, it'll show me if we're cutting through. And if so, then we need to add a 3-dimensional tab. And yes, there's going to be alignment holes, Kool-Aid. We're going to talk about that last because it's quick and simple. But they're going to be, we'll create those toolpaths and stuff and everything first. Right now I wanted to kind of get past the 3D models and all that. But yes, there's going to be alignment holes for sure. Yeah, and see with that 32nd inch ball nose where Vetric thought, that we'd have some undercut issues and all. Still getting good detail in that queen, in those little notches and everything. So I think it'll come out just fine. That's why I used a very small diameter bit. All right, so you can see that we're cutting all the way through, right? On both sides there and everything. And so we don't want them just hanging all willy-nilly. We want to add a tab, a tab or two. And the thing that we have to keep in mind when adding 3D model tabs is wherever we put a tab, we're going to have to kind of, when we cut that tab off and everything, we're going to have to kind of clean it up, right? And also when we put in our 3D model tab, we're copying it to the other side, so we don't want it to be too thick, because when we copy it to the other side, it's going to double that size. So let's, we've got a layer here for tabs, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to use our clip art, and we're going to come down to 3D tabs here, and we have different types of tabs here. We're going to use this circular tab right here, and I'm going to drag and drop it in to the project, and I'm going to, bear with me a second, come back up there. There we go. Let me zoom back in here. Let me close these toolpaths just for a second. On this, oops. Am I still in the preview window? Bear with me just a second. Close that. Wonderful. I'm going to bring this down to here, and I'm going to hit the number 9 key on the keyboard. I'm going to hit the number 9 key on the keyboard, so that rotates a bit. And one of the main things is I want to size the tab appropriately, and I think putting it down here is going to be the best place for that. I may put one tab in the top of each part, but I'm not going to go crazy with these tabs. I don't want to have to do a lot of sanding on these parts to do the finish. So I'm going to size this down a little bit. Kind of bring it into here. And what I want is, let me pull this over, is the tab thickness on that circular tab. When I go into the properties here, right now it's a little over 0.195. Well, remember, it's going to get doubled And so, you know, we're going to be, you know, almost, you know, 0.2 and 0.2, so almost 7/16 of an inch. So I'm going to bring this down. I only really need a tab. I'm going to go 0.125, an eighth of an inch. Yeah, 0.15. That'll be fine. And on that tab, I'm going to select it. I'm going to hold down the control key to make a copy of it. And I'm going to put a copy. And if I hold the alternate key, it will keep it in line with the other tab. If I hold the control and alternate, I'm dragging a copy and keeping it in line and everything. So I'm holding the control key and the alternate key to keep it in line. Now all of these bases are relatively the same size until we get into the night here. So when we get into the night, we'll make a couple of changes. Holding that control and alternate key that allows me to keep it in line and drag a copy out. On the night, I'm going to get all the tabs in place, and then I'm going to kind of size it down. I want to kind of be in this round area here. So the tab doesn't need to be that thick for, you know, these other parts here. But I'm still going to just control alternate and just kind of drag it over and get it into place. And then I'll position it and size it for each one of the parts to make sure that, you know, it's appropriately placed. All right, so looking at this here, I am actually going to narrow this up a little bit more. Bring this down kind of in here. We could even, you know, look at putting the tabs at the bottom of the part, but I'm gonna just kind of stay in these carved areas here. Let's get rid of that one. Control alternate key and just drag it straight across. All right, the rook. Let's go ahead and bring this down. Over here, these are two separate tabs, but they're connected together as one, so I'm selecting them both and moving them together. And the reason why we're doing 3D tabs with the 3D model versus a regular flat tab and everything with your profile toolpath is because on the finish cut of this model, it's cutting all the way through the part. There is no profile cut. It's done. Once the finish cut's done, it's done, and everything. So there's no final profile cut. It does it, you know, as the 3D model is getting cut. And we should be. Okay. Oop. All right. Okay, now, like I said, you know, this tab, you know, coming down here is going to be sufficient in holding these parts down here, but there's really nothing at the top of the part when that bit is cutting and everything. There's nothing keeping it from flexing down, you know, and all. But I do not want tabs on, you know, both sides of the part. I'm just going to have it tab come out of one side of the part, maybe at a 45 or something, or down at this angle for the king. For the queen, we'll find something here. The bishop, you know, maybe a tab here. The knight here, maybe up here for, no, I'm going to go on the side for the rook and the side for the pawn. So I'm going to grab this and drag the control key, and I'm going to bring this tab here, and I am going to just turn that a little bit, pull that out. Okay, and on the queen, there's really no good spot to avoid the curve. I want to get into an area where I can sand without having to like really get down into little areas and stuff. Where would be a good place for you, big boy? Let's see here. Maybe right there on that ring. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Let's go over here. Let's tilt that around a bit and widen it up just a little bit. Take that, do the same thing back here. Alright, hold that control key down when you're dragging something if you're making a copy. And I'll be damned, did I move every single one of those without holding the control key down on those last three? Jeez Louise. Okay, let's size this one back down. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, that should give me a sufficient hold on those parts there. Yeah, that should give me a sufficient hold. All right, on the tabs, I want to take each of these tabs I want to select them all. Okay, and I want to copy them to the other side. That way it drops them in on the other side in that tabs layer. That one actually worked. It went right into the tabs layer for that one. Good job. Let's go ahead and recalculate these toolpaths. I'm going to use the model as the boundary on this one because of the tabs. And let's just make sure that, yeah, I'm going to use the model as the boundary. That way I don't have to select or create vectors for each of those tabs. No. That's a no-no. All right, so I'm not going to use the model as a boundary. Let's try this one. Let's go. My tab should be automatic. Let's find out here. Let's calculate this. I might have to use, yeah, no, it's not automatic. All right. So I need to create vector boundaries around all these. All right, select that. There we go. Select all these vectors. Okay, with those vectors selected, you booger. Calculate the selected vectors and calculate. All right, let's move on. We got 9:30 here, and we only got the chess pieces done. All right, preview the visible toolpath. What we're going to do is next week we're going to build the chess set. We're going to be doing V-carve inlay for the top pieces. We're going to be doing some V-carve into the top parts to do a nice little Greek on the sides of the chess box. We're going to have drawers for the chess pieces to be in. And there's going to be on the sides and everything, there's going to be a nice decorative Grecian design. And yeah, it's going to be really nice. I'll show you some of the vectors that we're going to be working with, but we're going to do those. Let's go to side one. Recalculate. I'm going to use again the selected vectors. Let me draw the vectors for this. Create those boundaries. Wonderful. Okay, selected vector is the boundary. This is the finish cut on side one that we're doing. All right, while that's going on, let's look at the questions that you guys have. What about putting tabs on the bottom? Yeah, that's what we put tabs on the bottom of the base. We could have went straight out of the bottom, out of, um, out of, like coming out of the bottom like little pegs and posts and stuff versus the side. That might be a little bit cleaner. It really depends on how much material we have for our waste and stuff. But yeah, we could have probably done that. All right, so the 3D finish cut was calculated. The 3D rough cut, I want to change that to the selected vectors as the boundary and calculate that one as well. But yeah, we could have done that, Ronnie. We could have put the tabs pointing straight down out of the bottom. Probably would have been a better way to go. It's not a trivial thing. Check out YouTube subject. Okay, y'all are talking about something different. Excellent. Okay, y'all are just having a conversation about. All right, let's preview that rough cut. Now the key thing here is, when we added those tabs, we want to make sure that in the material setup that we're still in the center, that it doesn't affect it or change it, which it didn't. But that's the key thing before you go and calculate your toolpaths and stuff. So these two are done. Flip this over to the other side. This rough cut's been calculated. I just need to recalculate the finish. On side 2, and then we're going to put in our alignment tab, and I'm going to talk to you about those alignment tabs here in just a momento. The alignment pins, when we flip, we're going to be drilling holes in our side 1, and we're going to be drilling holes in our waste board. When we flip that board over, we're going to have our little dowel pins. I'm going to use 1/4 inch dowels, but it will align that part perfectly on the waste board, keeping that those parts in line for when we carve. And if for some reason you get side 1 carved, the first day, and you got to shut down your machine, and you're going to do side 2 next week or whatever, you can just zero out your machine, and you can drill your 3 alignment holes for the waste board and flip that board over and put it down on there, and you're good to go, because it's referencing off the current XY position. And I'm going to show you that here in just a moment. So now when we come in and preview all the toolpaths, we should have sufficient amount of tabs holding those parts in. If not, then we make them, put them in a different place, make them longer, all that wonderful stuff. So the rough cut is looking good there. The finish cut is getting into those, that small 32nd inch end mill is getting into those areas very well. Now, I'm going to stop this right here for a moment, and I want to spin this around. The overcut, that we allowed the bit to go past the 3D rough cut, okay, was 1/8 of an inch. And on that 3D rough cut, that was that offset boundary. The thing that's most important is that when it's all said and done and it's carved, the most important thing is that our tabs are still got something to hold on to. If not, then we've got to extend them out, change them, do something, right? So that being said, let's finish that up. And once we put the alignment holes in, guys, we are going to call it a day. Did not mean for this class to run on this long, 2 hours and 27 minutes. We're going to wrap this up. I did not mean for this class to run this long tonight. Keep in mind the steps that we did in this would really apply to VCarve Desktop and VCarve Pro more so than Aspire. Aspire, you can bring in your model, create your boundaries around the model, and select the models that you want to keep and tell it to delete everything else in that model. And now that you have that pawn, you can make that copy multiple times and lay over. You don't have to do all the things that we really did here with Aspire and stuff. But it was important that I didn't do this in Aspire, because I want everybody to, at some point in time, whether you play or not, make a chess set. It's always a good project. Now, you want to see a good video on finishing a chess set. Steve Ramsey, Woodworking for Mere Mortals. He's got a, I think it's a 5-part video. Might be 3. It's kind of one of his early day videos. It's what attracted me to him. On doing a finish, a high rub finish, almost like a French polish, but not really. But a nice finish on a chessboard. That would be a video that I'd watch. Woodworking for Mere Mortals. I'll finish a chessboard. All right, let's go ahead and flip this over really quickly. I'm not going to preview the rough on this side. There's no sense in it. Just going to do the finish. Now all this waste materials here in the middle, that would have been removed by the rough cut. But since I did not do a rough preview, you're not seeing that. What you're seeing is the border cut, the router cutting the border, and then it'll go into the individual parts. It's important to get those tabs kind of in a good spot. I think, who was it? Was it Ronnie that said it? I think, bringing the tab out of the bottom, it would be easy to clean up and, cut off and sand and everything without worrying about messing up the detail of the part. I think that's a good idea, but we are going to need a model of some sort, or a tab of some sort coming out of to hold that top part, because when that 3D finish is cutting this cut like you see here, there's nothing holding that part in, especially if the other side's already cut all the way through. So you can see here that my tabs, let's flip this kind of up right here. My tabs were no use to me whatsoever. They need to be extended out. Extended out on every single one of those. They need to be extended out. So even on the ends here, they've got to go beyond that allowance. All right, let's talk about alignment holes really quickly. We're going to use a configuration with the alignment holes that doesn't require us to be doing side 1 and side 2 at the same time, on our current X and Y. By placing our alignment holes in diagonal, symmetrical. We could do, you know, 3 holes, 2 holes, 4 holes. It doesn't matter. I usually just only do 2, but if if you're unsure and all that and you want an extra one, you can throw an extra one in there, but they do not have to be perfectly aligned. They don't have to be Is it symmetrical? They don't have to be symmetrical. They can be asymmetrical. And everything. But on side 1, these 1/4 inch holes, or 3/8 if you have a 3/8 inch dowel, whatever your dowel or your pin, your alignment pin is going to be. We're going to cut those about 3/8 of an inch deep. I'm going to use a drilling toolpath here, and we're going to go 0.375 with a 1/4 inch end mill. And these are going to be cut on the board, side 1. Okay, so those will get cut side 1. Now we're going to take those same vectors and we're going to copy them to the other side. And depending on which way your board is flipping, X or Y, those holes will be in the perfect placement for how you're flipping and everything. Now these holes will get actually carved in your wasteboard on your table. So make sure that your cut depth is at least 1/4 of an inch, but make sure you're not cutting through your wasteboard with your drilling toolpath, right? So this one, on my wasteboard, I have a 3/4 inch wasteboard, but I only generally carve my dowel holes for the wasteboard 1/4 of an inch deep. My little dowel pins are 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch. And by carving 3/8 on the top of the board, 1/4 inch in the wasteboard, that gives me a little bit of an air gap so I don't bottom out when I'm pushing that part onto those dowels. So we go 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to calculate this, but I'm going to name this wasteboard alignment holes. This is going to, for me, when I say the toolpath and all, the word wasteboard means, hey, you know, alignment holes. So what we do is we're going to carve side 1. The alignment holes in side 1, 3D rough cut, 3D finish. You're then going to take that board when it's finished, you're going to unclamp it and move it completely out of the way. We, in this case, are referencing off the top of the material. That means that we need to zero out our end mill, put our end mill in, take our finishing bit out, put our end mill in, and we need to zero out on the top of the wasteboard and carve the wasteboard alignment holes. Once they're carved, we're going to take our project board and flip it the appropriate direction, put our dowel pins in our wasteboard, flip the appropriate direction, and slide that project board right down on those pins, re-secure it, reclamp it, and then we're going to carve side 2's rough cut and finish cut. Okay. This needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm going to clean it up a little by extending the tabs, but you get the idea. We just need the tabs to be a little bit longer so they're dead ending into wood here. Let's see. The modeling surface is incredible. Who needs photogrammetry? It's like bas relief carving. Thanks, Chris. Unless you want a full 2-sided job as a bust, that's possible too. Just to give you guys one last little general idea. I had a customer just order a custom chess set from these modelers, here is the king that was being made for that custom chess set. The customer came back and said, hey, can you take this top part off and add, you know, like a cross to it and what have you. So they went back and fixed that for the customer for that custom chess piece. The queen on the custom chess piece, they just finished up, and the knight, that's exactly what the horse looks like. I love the teeth, but that's exactly what the actual sample photo looked like. So the knight and everything. But the modelers, they're phenomenal. This chess set was, I believe, around $180 to be custom made on that one. They still got to do all the 8 pawns and the bishop and all that stuff. But it's about a 6 to 8 day turnaround on custom orders. It's once the invoice is paid on regular orders on the models that we have available, it's a quick, as soon as the invoice is paid, the model's emailed to you. Here's a cool example of one of the models that's for sale. This nice cross, this Jesus lifting the spirits, out of the water. Another quick sample. Here was a image that that someone submitted. This was the model created from that image, and this was the carving that came of that out of the piece of wood. It was a clock. It ended up being a clock. The eagle here, phenomenal. I love the mantle models. This is a bear and salmon kind of mantle model and everything. So there's quite a few models. I'm going to have images and everything of them up and all. But right now we're doing Halloween, and any of these other ones that I showed you are available as well. I have the prices on it. You can just email about them and all. But I'm going to be doing a kind of a full release with images and stuff of what models are available until the website gets launched. I got to figure out a way to showcase these and say, here's the price. If you want to buy them, just order them. But if you have images you want to submit for pricing, you can do that, and all kinds of things. So, but there's already a good gallery. But you might have a graphic that you want modeled. You might have a customer that wants one of their family members' portraits made or what have you, and we have the ability to do that now. So definitely keep us in mind when you're looking for your next modeling gig. All right. Big Daddy, it probably could be done on a 4th axis. They're round rotary projects, so it could be done on the 4th axis. Let's see here. All right. Why flip it from top to bottom instead of left to right? For me, the y-axis is my top to bottom. So I like flipping my board because I have a reference fence, and so I flip everything. I reference it off there versus left to right. It doesn't matter. You can do it either way. That's just my preference. And I flip, on the y-axis. You can flip it on the x, right? Either one. Doesn't matter. Doesn't affect it. How it creates the models on side 2, it is dependent on which way you're flipping the board. When it creates those copies to the other side, it will, align them appropriately based on the way you're flipping your board. You just got to tell it which way you want to flip it. So, all that wonderful stuff. All right, everybody, let's come in here and call it a day. Sorry that we ran to 10 o'clock on just these parts and pieces, but we will come back next week and we will create all of the rest of the box and case with some nice graphics for our drawers and our squares. We're going to do some V-carve inlay to get some nice contrasting squares for our chess pieces and all. It's going to be an eventful class. I'll have a lot of it kind of pre-laid out, so it'll be easy to go through and explain everything step by step for you. And it won't be kind of a guessing game like we did tonight, and that'll help keep the time down a bit. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Hope you picked something up from this, but watch it over and over again, and I'm sure you'll get something out of it. Hopefully you do. Until next time, I'll see you soon.